I just fell in right there. I'm cold and I'm soaking wet. I've lost my pack. There's a den there that looks like a freaking bear den. It's covered in ice. Oh yeah, there's close. The sun is down. I only just got my shelter set up. But I just got to get a close look. I hung my bear bag last night, scratching there, but something was scraping at that tree. Is that this one looks like it was out at least within the last 2 days. Morning, day 4, not much light out. It's only kind of first light right now. I'm up kind of early. I went to bed probably around midnight and I'm up at 8, but I slept a lot better than I have any other night. I think I finally got my pad situated in a good spot where I can get some sleep. Well, first of all, obviously we'll get the fire going. You see that blue container up there? I got 3 fresh eggs with me and one that's a hard-boiled egg. So I'm gonna have some eggs. But yeah, I was toasty warm last night with my little wall here. Kept the snow out pretty good. Kept my gear dry thanks to that. I tied it up over there just to kind of flare it out a little bit. See that blue rope? Lots of wood left. That's my chair. That's where I sit, so I'll burn that last. I got time for me to get up and moving. Got the fire going. I got lucky there was enough coals there. I didn't have to start it from scratch. Got my eggs defrosting. Grabbed myself a little firewood. Actually, the best of it came from the top of this tree here. I just cut the top off. It's kind of thick down there, but it's enough to cook on. Got to get my mess kit, my cook set, and then I got to go get some water. There were no animal tracks over there by my bear hang, no fresh scratch marks. So now that there's fresh snow, I would be able to see. I won't need this again since this is my last day here.
So whatever was leaving those scratchings on the trees and the digging up of the soil directly under my bag, that must have been there. Nothing had come back.
Water time. It's been sitting out all night. Like I said, days were only getting warmer from when I got here. Even that didn't freeze. I think I might carry the water like this. That'd be convenient. Have a free hand. I got my water, but my philosophy is, if you got a free hand, don't come back empty-handed. Because I had brought that carrying case, I was able to grab some firewood. Fire's got to die down a little bit more. What I need is that over there, and then a pile of coals, and then another piece of wood so that I can lay my little grate on it. Then I can fry up my eggs, boil some water for some coffee. Oh yeah, that sounds good. That sounds really good. While the fire's getting ready, I got just enough water boiling to make a cup of coffee. It didn't record all that, so I got my water boiling, right? What I was saying, the best part of my day is when you crack open one of these Folgers. And I don't care that it's Folgers. I've actually never been much of a Folgers fan, but just the fact that it's fresh, real coffee and not instant. I love it. Come on, water. That'll get them coals underneath that little pot. I mean, that titanium cup was rimmed with ice though when I put it in there. Should probably put this back on my pocket. That way nobody thinks I'm deer. At least it's something brightly orange, you know? Because all my other colors are dark. One of those eggs is a little cracked. This guy here, he's got a slight crack. He didn't leak much. He was back here. I mean, he might have leaked a tiny bit, but not much. And this is the boiled one. Oh, that kind of feels a little frozen. Maybe I forgot to tip him upside down. I don't want to mess with that cracked one. Oh, what's this? It's boiling. Creamer? The sugar tin. Can't tell you how many times I've been out for, you know, when it goes past like 5-6 days, you start craving a little sugar here and there. So it's nice to carry sugar. Even though I really don't like too much in my coffee, but when I haven't had a lot, it's nice to have. Another use for this, insulating your cup from the ground. Keep your beverage more warm. Alright. That fire looks almost ready for eggs. We need some smaller stuff there to keep the coals going until I'm ready. Yeah, if you notice this monstrosity, this is the base of an oak tree, or some kind of tree. I don't think it's oak actually, I think it's some kind of pine. But once I get that dried out, I'll throw that on after I'm done eating. That'll grow for a good long time. I would normally save it for nighttime, let it dry out all day, and just throw it on at night. I'm not going to be here another night, so. Yeah, I burn a lot of root bundles. I like them. They're usually really dense, and they burn for a long time. Well, I'm going to make my coffee, and then I'll turn you back on once I start cooking my eggs. Had my coffee, that was delicious. That really hit the spot. Right now, I want to do one more thing before I cook my eggs. You can see I got the fire almost ready to go. I have everything arranged so I can lay my grate down over some coals. right in between these two. I'm going to keep piling little stuff in there and letting it burn down into some coals. But before I do, I want to take this guy. I was saving him in case I needed some more wood for an overnight burn. I'm going to cut it at least in half and see if I can't get some quarters out of it and split it down. Burn those for when I'm packing up. And they might even help me with cooking the eggs too. So I figure I can split it right there on that root safely without damaging my axe or myself. When it's really not cold like this, I really like these nitrile coated gloves. Gives you good grip on your tools. And the old foot stomp doesn't work. That's my favorite. Let the wood do the work. And you can see this one's already got a weak spot. Crack running down that side there. I think that can work. See, I have to be careful with this axe. This is a 2.1 pound head. Usually you wouldn't find anything like this on less than a 24-inch handle. I had him put it on a custom 22-inch handle because it was just a head when he gave it to me. It's a vintage Holtz Brooks Agdor. But some of the best steel that I own. Second to this, which I just had poured. I shouldn't say second to, but they're both awesome steel. Let's try with a real swing this time. What do you say? I was a little nervous because I didn't want to hit a tree or something. Yeah, kind of like a nice kindling piece. That's a good one. Yeah, great pecan. I guess it was just frozen. Ay, ay, ay. I'll give this one more whack.
All jokes aside, this is one of my favorite splitting techniques. Now, watch closely. What you do is once you get that axe into that wood, you raise it up, turn it upside down, or bring it over your back, and you're going to swing downward so that the pole or the hammer side of the axe strikes the surface, and the weight of the log will drive itself onto the axe bit. And as you can see, it works very, very well, and it's also a really safe way for you and for your axe so you don't damage it.
This is the first trip I've been on since I injured my hand. I cut this tendon. It's a little sore. I'm trying not to do anything too stressful. Always secure the tools before you forget about them. Not bad, right? Yeah, I don't normally split wood, but sometimes it can really help, especially when it's conditions like it was the past few days. Like I said, it rained 2 days before I got here, then immediately just froze. So in situations like that, you know the stuff didn't have a chance to dry out, so the outside's going to be, it's going to feel dry, but it's not. It's frozen solid. I'm going to stoke this up real quick. Get that going. Put you guys somewhere where you won't tip over. And it's time for eggs. Like I always say, before you cook, blow all that ash out. You get a lot less ash in your food. Again, these things are priceless to have with you. I mean, they weigh nothing, but they're so handy. I don't know about you guys, but that's starting to look like a cook fire to me. Perfect for frying some eggs over. I should really put the microphone on that camera. But it's a new camera, and before I go and plug in the mic, I wanted to do one trip without using the mic and just see how the actual phone's microphone works on its own. Yeah, that split stuff, it burns great. And you do get a much nicer fire when you split it, for sure. You see, in cold temperatures, I want those big logs for nighttime that are just gonna burn all night. It's cooking time. We're gonna get mixing them eggs. Wish I had some more level. I guess I do. So now, just gotta mix them up. A lot of people think milk is the key to making your eggs fluffy. It's actually how well you whisk them. The more air you get into them, the fluffier they are. I don't think milk has anything to do with it. I'm sure a lot of people would disagree on that. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment. Alright. That was good to me, huh? Oh, geez, you're still staring at the ground, aren't you? Whoops. I was showing you, I first wiped the egg off my spoon with my dishcloth here. And then I took this, put it in the fire for a second just to sterilize it because I'm going to eat with it. Darn smoke. Got a nice smoke fire. Good percent of smoke signals, not for cooking. It's kind of hard to avoid a smoky fire when you're trying to keep it small because like all the small stuff just soaks up all that moisture. Let's give you a better view, shall we? I know the grill's down here, but the heat's up here. But that's okay. Oh, jeez. I gotta get out of the smoke. I don't mind standing there and holding it as long as I'm not breathing in all that smoke. I gotta move that grate. The grate is not so great where it is. That's a little better. That's a lot better. That's level. There, now we're cooking. Yeah, some hash to go with these would be really nice. All right. I call that chow time. But first, well, I wish it didn't have to be first. Sanitize this, it's got all the raw egg in it. That's not doing anything at all, so I guess all I can hope for is to get all the crummy bits that'll fall into my water out. But at least there's no bacteria falling in. It's just little bits of egg. I can live with that. Now let's eat my eggs before they get cold. I don't know what it is about eggs. No food gets cold as quick as eggs. Anybody else ever notice that? I know what you're thinking. It doesn't look like the most comfortable chair. Alrighty. I'm glad I threw in that extra butter. Give it a nice salty flavor. If only I had some pepper. That should give me the energy I need to hike out of here. I don't believe the scale before I left. I weighed it, like I weighed myself with the gear, 200 pounds. Weighed myself without the gear, 160. I'm like, there's no way. Something's got to be off. The trip I took on Halloween had my heavier hammock setup. That's heavier by at least 2.5 pounds. And everything else is pretty much the same except a couple redundant items I brought, like the ground mat, spare headlamp. But I don't see where another 20 pounds came in. Something had to be wrong there. Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. Otherwise, happy holidays. Happy New Year. That's probably about when this will get posted, is around New Year's. I'm slow at editing because I don't like it. I don't like editing. Well, I should rephrase. I don't like editing my own stuff. So this is just water I pulled out of the creek. I actually just got one of the, it's like an imitation, like off-brand Grail, where you fill the outer bottle and you push it down in. If you've ever, you know, it's all over, everybody's using them. But anyway, I got an imitation one. And the problem is I can't try that out in winter because, you know, the thing's this big. It's the size of a 32-ounce water bottle. What am I going to do? Stuff that in a pocket to keep the filter from freezing? No, unrealistic. That's why that Sawyer Mini, I can use this in winter as long as I keep that filter from freezing. Well, got all this wood. I'm not going to have as big a fire as I can before I leave. Now my hands are getting chilly. I gotta check the time. And it's 12:30. So I'm going to stoke up the fire and then start packing up. Butter wipes out a lot easier when you just warm it up a little. Butter, grease, anything like that. Look at that. All you need is a good sanitization. That's ready to eat out of again. You know, my other camera has a remote control, and I was like, man, it'd be great if I had that other camera. I could stay sitting there and I could turn it off while I ate, turn it back on when I'm done. And this one works for a cell phone. I could have been using this the whole time. What did I say? I was going to stoke that fire up? Yeah, I didn't do a very good job at that, did I? Yeah, I got quite a bit to pack up. Sleeping bag I'll probably put away first. I should rehang my backpack so I can get easy access while I'm packing it. But I am going to sit and take a break, and then I get to pack it up. I'm not in that much of a rush. I got 4 hours of daylight left. By 4:30 it's pitch black here, so 12:31. Yeah, so I got like 3 hours to pack up and get out. Figure an hour to hike out, 2 hours to pack up. That can work. Look who found himself some soggy treats. This is the part of my backpack that got soaked because the water was just going whoosh. So I had fallen backwards into the creek. But I have one more packet of coffee and one very soggy packet of hot cocoa. But if I shake it, I hear powdered cocoa. So I'm thinking if I dry it, maybe just stick it in here and dry it a little bit, I can have some hot cocoa mixed with coffee before I leave. You can see from my tarp it's raining. But I know it's going to be worse tomorrow, so just tough it out. I already got my sleeping bag packed up. I'm going to do my sleep mat now, because that, if I set it right here, will give me a nice place to sit once it's rolled up. I wanted to show you this too. I tried out these gaiters on the way in because it was so cold and I didn't have snow pants, and I've heard that these definitely help keep your legs and your feet warmer, and that's completely true. That's a tip from Clay Hayes, winner of Alone there. I forget what season. But what I did was I folded one up inside the other. These are the pants I brought that I could never get dry. Not completely. And then I put a bag that has relatively soft stuff in there. But as you can see, that was like a perfect size pillow. At least for me it was. This was the first thing to hit the water when I fell in. And if you get pull cords like this that don't seem to hold well, what I do is I just, almost like you're tying your shoes, but only on one side. Hope you can see that. Just a basic quick release knot, so when I pull this, that loop will just pull right out, just like you're untying your shoes. But it'll keep this from sliding, keep it closed. If it wasn't for that, my sleep mat probably would have been completely soaked. Like if that was open. Suppose I could just put these guys on, take care of them. Oh yeah, that's better than a log, that's for sure. It'll be dark out by the time I get these things on. I could have packed up my whole camp practically in the time it took me to do these. Lucky I had a comfortable seat for that, because that would have been torture. Well, it's 1:30. I think it was 12:30 when I finished my eggs and said I was going to stoke up the fire. So an hour, and all I've done so far is pack up my my sleeping bag, sleep mat, and stoked up the fire and got my gaiters. So I'm gonna hustle to do the rest. Hey, it's dry. I think that's still good. Only need this much water. Plus a little extra. For two reasons. One, I might lose some in the boil. And for two, I might take a couple sips and want to add more water. That should do it. That's got to be good. This thing is so pathetic looking. Look at it. You wouldn't think there'd be any usable cocoa. Oh, yep, see? That little tiny foil they put inside kept it dry. So my phone's getting soaked here. I hope this comes out as good as I remember it. Coffee, hot cocoa. I'm gonna end up leaving a lot of wood. Too bad it's not a designated campsite. Nobody will ever come here. I wouldn't come here again. Not the best spot. For one person, it worked. But if you had somebody with you, I mean, there might be a somewhat level spot over there just before where I hung my bear bag. There's like a little clearing that there's also mossy like this. And then there's, if you cleared it out, there might be a spot probably only 15, 20 feet behind my shelter. That could be made to work, but there's so much sticks and stuff on the ground, it would take forever to clear it out to find out if it was actually level and flat. No rocks sticking in your back. But the rocks here tend to be flat. That's why I couldn't find any for the fire pit. Oh, that is delicious. That's just as good as I remember it. Decisions. I just enjoy having a fire. You know what I mean? So, and I put the time into getting the wood. And there's a little bit of daylight left. So I'd rather burn that wood up and enjoy the fire while I can than leave it here for it to just sit there and never get used. I think I'm going to start with that tarp on the side first, since that was the last thing I put up. I need some gloves though, my hands are getting chilly. It's 2:30 right now. I got an hour and a half of sunlight. This thing is super bright. I mean, we still got light, and look how bright it is. So that's going last. I used just 3 paracord loops to hold that up. Because it's military grade paracord, it's a little bit stiffer, and those knots wouldn't fit through the grommet holes, so I just basically ran it through, put a toggle. Well, now I don't have to put a wet tarp in my backpack. This slides right down in the back pocket. It's like, yeah, right. I got it back in there once, but man, good luck, right? I don't know how I did it. Yeah, that ain't happening today. Not with the light failing. Alright. That's a good job. That's why I don't like camping when it's kind of like right around freezing. At least if it's snow, you can just brush it off, you know? Ah, it's taking a piss on me. Oh, all right, that'll fit. So a lot of people, when they pack, they like to put the stuff you're going to access first on the top. I don't do that only because my shelter tarp is usually my heaviest item, and I don't want that near the top making me, you know, wibbly wobbly while I'm hiking, so I put that way at the bottom. Then I put something like a sleeping bag that's very low weight but a lot of bulk on top of it. Okay. So, a couple tools got to go in first. The tripod has to go in with my saw. So unfortunately, yeah, I'm not going to be able to film this unless I hang the tripod from the outside of the bag. Now, I already got the shovel and the axe on the outside. Yeah, sorry, but, well, there you go. I'm all picked up. That ridge pole, I'll cut the lashing and probably just, I'll lean it up over here where I got some other firewood, just in case somebody does need firewood and they happen to come by and see it. I'll film more once I'm packed up. Just without the tripod. Man, look at this. I wish I would have found that when I was soaking wet and needed a place to hunker down quick. Dang. Couldn't ask for a better ready-made shelter than that. Whew. And that's the creek I was following on my way in too. I must have just... See, without snow, it's hard to see an overhang like that. But once the snow starts falling, then they really stand out. Alright, I gotta get moving. As you can see, it's getting quite dark. It's already 4:02, which means I only got a half hour left of light. Gotta say, it's nice to be back on a trail. But the problem with these trails, even though they're easy going, is that even though you're making good ground, you still see nothing up ahead. It's amazing how much quieter it is without the noise of that river or creek or whatever. Oh wow, am I here already? See that little shack with the roof there? I think that's the second designated campsite, in which case I'm only about a quarter mile from the road. Because I've stayed there before. Cool beans. I'm almost there. Yeah, you might remember that spot. That's the first place I ever did any filming. Just came out to the river. There's my car there, but look at that. That's cool. It's like a snake that's just following the river from the moisture evaporating up into the air. I've seen that before from higher elevation. It looks pretty neat. It really does look like just a snake. Well, that's another great trip in the books. Thanks for joining me, guys. If you stuck through to the end there, it's probably pretty lengthy. It was really cold at first. That was one of the worst first nights that I've ever had. But we made it through. We. So yeah, thanks for joining me. If you guys want to see more trips, subscribe, like, and if you want to be notified when I do new updates like gear reviews. I do a lot of gear reviews now, but thorough ones, not like unboxing type stuff. I actually review it. Yeah, hit that notification bell and you'll get updated when I get new videos in. Everybody enjoy your holidays and Happy New Year. Oilcloth tarps are great, but I just unpacked this from my bag. There's a dehumidifier in here, so. But imagine if you left that all rolled up or folded up in your pack for a day or two. You know how nasty that would be? That's why first thing when I get back from a trip, I always get these things laid out, opened up. I do it with the poly tarps too, but with those, it's not as a big deal as the oilcloth.